Hello, welcome back to the Becoming Podcast. I'm your host, Allie Gray, and this is episode 6 of the Becoming Podcast. I hope everybody's having a good week. This episode is called Becoming the Version of You That Starts Over in a New Place. And I was thinking and brainstorming of different topics that I could have ready for this week and just overall for this moment that I'm in life. And one of the ones that I really wanted to highlight, especially at this period in time, is how to navigate new chapters. And with new chapters comes a lot of times new identities and new personalities and new eras of you. And I think it's really important, especially as like college decisions are coming out and as people are going home for the first time or spending their last summer at home or just getting ready for some sort of new era of them, kind of how you can become the best version of you that does so in this time of change. And so, obviously, as you know, I am a freshman in college at the University of Kansas, and this will be one of my last summers home. I think maybe the last, because next summer I'm going to try and study abroad, but it's kind of sad to think about. And I'm kind of still grasping onto the concept, but I have a lot of friends who are going out of state for college, and I have a lot of people that are also dealing with the same emotions of like literally moving away for the rest of their lives after the summer. And I kind of wanted to touch on that and what that's like. Maybe, again, this podcast has been really just an outlet for me to express some emotions, and the hope is that somebody else somewhere out there also gets some sort of recognition for their feelings. But again, you don't have to have it all figured out, and if this has nothing to do with you, feel free to stop listening whenever. But essentially, I'm going to be highlighting moving into a new place, new phases and feels, and also the disorientation that comes with all of it. I want to start off by saying that no one really talks about how starting over can feel lonely even when you choose to do so. I am a 7.5 hour drive from home, and I always was told as a kid that like I was going to be the sibling that goes the furthest for college. And originally I was actually going to go to Oregon, and it was like my dream school and I wanted to go. And then money didn't work out, and I got really scared, to be so honest. I got really scared of going that far. And overall, it really was money. If it was as cheap as obviously in-state tuition at the University of Minnesota or somewhere else like I am now, I think I would have picked it just because it's an awesome school. However, long story short, I didn't, and I'm here. And let me just say, like, I'm not fully thankful that I didn't get to go there. Obviously, what's meant to be will be. It's something I believe that whatever's put in my path will be and is meant to be in my path. And I think that going to Kansas and not going to Oregon really shaped obviously who I am in my life and has brought a lot of meaning into my life. One of those things is that I cannot imagine what life would be like if I was even farther from home. And I love my house. I have no problems with my family. I love them. I just also have a lot of need to escape the place that I grew up in. And that can touch back to a lot of different things. I've done a lot of reflecting on this. I'm not trying to escape or run from anything. There's just this feeling of a lot of trauma back home and a lot of instances where I just felt really trapped. I felt like I couldn't be myself. I really didn't like high school. I didn't necessarily have like that popular group that I hung out with every day. Like I had friends in each class and I could be friendly with whoever, but I didn't have that group. And I think moving to college, I was so excited to find that. But let me tell you guys, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not something that you'll just come to college and you'll find a group. Hell, there's still people that I know that don't have groups and they just bounce around friends, but it's a lot easier to do in college because in a way it changes everybody in its own different way. And I feel like everybody grows up when they hit college and when they move away from home in different ways. Now, I will say there is a difference in some of the people that are going and feeling the extraneous jump of moving 500 miles away from home versus being 5 miles away from home and going home every weekend. So just put that into perspective. But I think it's really hard because when I moved in, I was super excited. I was like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to be independent. I'm going to live on my own. I'm so far from home. I don't have to rely on other people anymore. And I was really excited and ready for it. But newsflash, no matter how many times you're going to say that you think you're ready for it, there's always going to be that little bit of fear and a little bit of you that might not fully be ready. And I've talked to a lot of people about this, and even people have talked to me about this when I was younger and actually going through the swings of things like a senior in high school last year, of people who were like, oh, just wait, you're gonna wish you could go back, or just don't fully say that yet. But I think truly, like, I did mean it, but there is still fear. And I think it took me a long time to acknowledge that and just be like, you know what, but that's okay. Like, I can still live in this moment of fear, but still be super excited that I just moved away from home and I feel like myself. I think I was having a hard time, and this was just, again, a reality for me, was accepting both truths of moving away from home and wanting that independency, but also still fearing that and never being this far away from home ever before. And so, even if you're choosing to go away from home or jump to a new chapter, or you're choosing to move away, or you're choosing to go super close, know that it's okay to have that fear no matter what you're doing. Know that going to college or not going to college, or spending one last summer at home and deciding to move away from home next summer or to stay at home next summer, those choices, even though they're chosen, are still completely valid to install fear, if they install fear. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling. The next bullet point I have is that you're not just changing your environment, you're also changing how you are in that new environment. And I did a little speech at the Corner House Gala last week about belonging and what it means to belong and fit in. And that idea of belonging doesn't mean just fitting in and conforming to what that environment wants from you. It's finding where you are, who you belong in this space, how you belong. And I think a lot of times, especially in college, like, you just want to fit in. And that was my reality in high school. And so, really forcing myself to branch away from that in college was something I think truly benefit me for the absolute best. With all of this, sometimes a new place or a new environment or a new change can mean not having any history or labels or expectations from people you already know. It can mean jumping into something brand new. And again, that can install a lot of fear, but it can also feel really freeing. And I want to jump back to that moment of fear. A lot of times it might be fear, but it also might be a different emotion that we're trying to name here. And I urge you to journal about it and write it down and think about, what emotion is it actually installing within you? Is it fear? Is it a, a sense of loss? Is it a sense of, is it a sense of conforming to other things? There can be a lot of different emotions that come with this, not just fear. And I think that, again, it can feel super freeing, but it can also feel like you've lost your place in the world for a second. And know that that's okay. Know that you are going through change, and like any change, there's a lot of things that come out of it, good or bad. And most of the time, you're going to feel like you have to figure out who you are immediately. And when I came to KU, I felt like rushed into everything, and with the swing of college and school and everything going on, I was like, how am I supposed to do all of this, keep my relationship with my friends at home, keep whatever other relationships are important in life, and find out who I am, how I belong in this new space? And I'm just going to say that it's a lot to manage. The one thing I would say is, yes, figure out who you want to become, who you want to be in this new space, and find that identity, but know that that's not going to happen overnight. Know that you're allowed your own timeline. No matter where you are in life, know that you are not conformed to any specific other person's timeline. You have no timeline that you have to conform to when it comes to becoming yourself and becoming who you want to be. There's some days when I will order an ice cream cone with sprinkles on it. And then there's other days where I'll get my salted caramel in a cup and feel super sophisticated. And I think that's really important to even know, and take my metaphor, my stupid metaphor, as whatever lesson as you want, of it can fluctuate. Becoming can fluctuate. That's one of the main themes in my podcast. And remembering, especially during really big times of change, that that is so, so important and so, so crucial to your becoming. I think for me, when I moved here, it was really hard because I didn't really know who I was going to be. I didn't really know who I wanted to be. I had an idea of like my morals and what I was kind of taking in my survival kit. But besides that, like, I didn't have much to work with here. I barely knew my roommate. I knew a lot of people from back home, but I wasn't going in with a friend group that like would call every Friday night at 7 p.m. Like, I didn't really have that. I had neighbors that I kind of knew. My roommate was in a sorority, or I guess she still is, but she was in her sorority really active back then. She was out doing stuff, and I felt so disconnected. I felt disconnected from myself, obviously from my family, from all the different things, and it was really scary. I felt like, gosh, like I need to figure my stuff out. I need to figure out who I am. But you're also allowed to be unfinished in a new environment. And that to me was such a foreign concept. It was like, no, like I need to get on it. I need to know where I fit in. I need to know what clubs to be in. I need to figure all of this out right now. And that's a very common theme and a very common misconception that we constantly grasp onto is this concept of the second you get somewhere, the second you enter a new chapter, you have to know where you belong in it. You have to know where it's heading towards, where it's going to take you in life. But the reality is, you don't have to. The problem with that is there's a lot of discomfort that comes with it. It's the discomfort of being unknown. Nobody knows the past version of you. That can feel very isolating, like no one fully sees you yet. You can come to a new place where you know nobody. You can move away from home. You can move 20 minutes from home. Still maybe know somebody. They don't remember who you are. They don't remember your past. And yes, it can be freeing. It can be so freeing. It can make you feel awesome inside. But it can also be so isolating. You can feel like, gosh, if only I had so and so here to know how to comfort me when I'm stressed and I'm laying in bed with no motivation to do anything. Gosh, I wish I had so and so here to just make me laugh one more time before I have to go take this final. Remember your people, but remember that you are allowed to find new people. It means you get to decide what parts of you come forward. It means you get to decide what parts of other people who you love you want to find in your new people in this new place. You're not trapped in old roles or friendships or labels. You're finding new ones within the morals and the expectations that you had from your past ones. And I think that's a really unique concept in and of itself of every single chapter of our life is meant to put us where we're supposed to be. It's meant to change us, to grow us, to show where we're belonging, to show who we're becoming. It's supposed to contribute to some sort of personal growth. But with that, you have so many outside factors: your family, your friends, your environment, where you are, what you're doing, your job, your occupation, your education. All these things play into your personal growth. And the beautiful thing about change and moving and growing into a new environment is that you don't have to erase those outside factors. You don't have to change everything about your change. That made no sense. But your outside factors can continue to have an influence on you wherever you go. But know that, like, that's all dependent on your terms. Hopefully that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling again. Next bullet point is letting go of old identity versions. Sometimes the hardest part isn't physically moving, it's releasing who you were in the old place. Even if that version of you was good, familiar, or loved. That's the little jump. You might miss how easy it was to be known and to be seen and to have this group or to have those friends, but growth often requires becoming unfamiliar to yourself for a bit. It's a very scary time when you forget who you are or you feel like you've lost yourself, but in reality, you're just trying to figure out who you are in this new space. You're trying to figure out how you belong. And I keep saying that and I keep repeating myself. And it's frustrating to me because I know that I'm repeating myself, but I'm trying to articulate it in new ways. The idea that growth requires becoming unfamiliar to yourself for a bit. That line's really sticking out for me. Being unfamiliar with yourself in a new place is bound to happen in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's a really big unfamiliarity or it's really small and you don't even recognize it. There's times, even daily, that I'm like, whoa, Allie, that's not like you. Why would you do that? And I have to step back and be like, okay, how would I have done that differently if I was actually thinking? How would I have handled this situation differently? How can I handle this situation differently? And moving forward, it helps you, again, grow into this new person or whoever you need to be. Although it's scary, the way that you reform your brain into thinking about it is super important. Yes, it's unfamiliar. Yes, it can be terrifying, especially when you don't see it coming or that you're aware that it's happening, where you're losing this familiarity with yourself. That can be super scary. It can be super fearful. It can make you spiral to the depths of the earth. Like, it can take a toll on you mentally, physically, emotionally, but it can also mean really, really important and fun things for yourself and your personal growth. And I think that's almost where we as humans need to pause and reflect more. Think about what versions of yourself you feel like you're actively losing and which ones you want to fully grasp onto. And then think about what are some that I want to gain. It's that same thing of like rosebud and thorn. The same thing happens when you move to a new place. How do I belong here and what traits do I want to bring here? What traits do I bring to the table? With all of this, it doesn't have to be a change. You don't have to move 500 miles away from home to feel these things. I lose myself and I have lost myself while being at home, and nothing changes from day 1 to day 2. But at day 2, I feel like a completely lost version of myself than I did at day 1. And the same things apply here. The same things that I've been talking about still apply no matter what you're going through. Next, becoming intentional instead of reactive. You get to choose your habits, your friendships, and routines from scratch. There's no default version of you that's running on autopilot from your old environment. And again, you can pause before deciding who you want to be. Lastly, I want to end with some truths about starting over. It won't feel like a clean reset. It'll feel messy and uneven, but eventually you'll get into a routine. Eventually you'll find your place, and it can be the most rewarding thing of your life. Some days you won't feel like you're becoming someone new. Other days you'll feel like your old self is still attached to you. But remembering that both are part of the process and not signs that you're doing it wrong. I hope you guys heard something in here that hopefully resonates with you for the week, for the month, for the year ahead. And just remember that starting over isn't becoming someone different. It's becoming more intentional about who you already are. A new place doesn't erase you, it reveals who you are in a new and different way. And slowly, without noticing, the new version can start to feel like home. Remember to take care of yourself. Put a lot of love into your own cup this week. I hope you guys are doing well. Thank you for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye, guys.